You are watching the Love and Money Show, and today I have a very special guest, Justin. Thank you for being on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, Justin, so I'd like to start out by having you tell us who you are and what do you do?
So I'm Justin Green. I'm from South Philadelphia. Yeah, I'm a former teacher. So I taught high school English for a while and then moved into administration for the Philadelphia School District. So now I am a full-time real estate investor. I'm a husband, father, man of God. So now I do full-time real estate.
Okay, I like your introduction.
Right.
Man of God.
Yep. Gotta have that in there. Definitely have that in there.
Justin, so what is your background?
So yeah, I mean, from South Philadelphia, grew up in a single parent home, went to high school, went to college, went on the path that my grandparents and my mother kind of laid for me, like go to college, get a job. So I actually, I like teaching. So that's what I did for some time, teaching high school students, and then moved to, once again, administration, where we developed an office and a program that helps students that were outside of school or that were out of school getting their GED, getting them back in school to have them enroll into a high school program. And so that was my background. And so then at a certain point around 2011, there were some threats of layoffs on my job. And at that point, I'm like, well, listen, I have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and I'm the manager of my department. Why am I getting laid off? And it was because of budget cuts and financing or finances. And that didn't really feel good. So at that point, around 2011, I was turning 30. And I figured, you know what, I need to figure out how to take care of my family and not depend on a 9-to-5 job. So I started looking into real estate, got a mentor, a realtor as well to help me. And my first property came in 2012, bought it in 2012.
Okay.
And then from there, just kept on building. And now I am where I am today.
Okay. So you were a high school teacher and experiencing layoff, and so you were looking for stability, financial stability.
Yeah, I mean, I believe at that point, stability was key, but also looking at how do I build wealth for my family, right? I saw teachers retiring, administrators retiring, and then still having to get another, a job afterwards. So another 9-to-5 job after you retire. It just didn't make any sense. So you retire at 63, and now you go back into another job. No, I don't want that. I don't want that for myself.
Okay. So finding a way to build wealth, not just being stable.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds very good, Justin. And so when it comes to real estate, tell us about your first deal and what kind of real estate did you do?
So first deal I typically only buy distressed properties, right? And I rehab them. So my first deal came through a bank. So it was on MLS through my realtor, and it needed rehab. So I was able to get a loan that incorporated the purchase price and the renovation cost in one loan. And so that allowed me to rehab it and do like a draw schedule where, every draw would be so much money after we fix a certain part up. So like, for example, if you do the first draw is demo, framing, things of that nature, you get one draw, and then the second draw could be like plumbing, electric, and an HVAC. So I did that and was able to find a tenant in the property and cash flow very well. So I still own it to this day.
Okay.
Yep. And as far as what kind of properties or the real estate that I do now, I do primarily single family and multifamily. I have commercial property as well, and some vacant lots, but typically I'm doing single family and multifamily.
Okay. Single family, multifamily, and lots.
Right. Right.
Um, okay, in the very beginning, with your first property, where did you get the funding? You mentioned a loan.
Right. So yeah. So The loan came from, it came from Wells Fargo, which is for me, it's a good bank that I use. And so they had, once again, a loan that incorporated the construction cost
Okay.
and the purchase price in one loan. So I did have to come up with a deposit and a deposit as well as my closing cost. So that was out of pocket. But typically, they covered everything. So the deal was around 60 grand. So it's $25,000 for the property, which was a good deal back then. And then I had to put about 35 into it. So I'm all in at 60. So my deposit was about 20% down of the total fees as well as closing costs. So I had to put like $20,000 down because it was like 20% down and then some closing costs on top of that. So I would suggest anybody that is starting out in real estate, there are ways for you to invest in real estate without having a lot of money tied in, or I would say a lot of your own money tied into the deal. But I would still say that you should still have a nest egg as well, just in case something goes bad or what have you. So, yeah.
Okay. Um, Justin, how long have you been doing this, and what does your portfolio look like now?
So first property, I bought it in 2012. So I would say in a few months I've been doing it for 10 years. And right now we have about 15 occupied doors. And some of our properties are right now underdeveloped. So we're still working on those. We're going to rehab them. We're looking at changing the zoning on some of those. So not every property is occupied.
Okay. Justin, what advice would you give to a brand new real estate investor who has never owned a property before?
Good question. So I would say you want to define your goals, right? So what is your goal, right? Is your goal to have monthly cash flow? Is your goal to have a large check at the end of the deal? So what is the goal? Because I think that helps with your strategy, right? So once again, if you're saying to yourself, well, listen, I just want to be able to have passive income, well, then you're going to look towards rental properties. However, if you're looking and saying, well, I want to collect the big check at the end, then fix and flips will probably be the way you go, or wholesaling. So define your goals, and then work on having good credit. Once again, you can definitely buy real estate, invest in real estate without having any of your money tied into the deal, but that takes some understanding of how to do that. And I was able to benefit from having an excellent credit score when I began. If I didn't have an excellent credit score when I began, then my first deal would probably have to come through a different source, whether that is wholesaling or something unconventional.
Okay. Um, so you have experience in wholesaling, flipping, and buy and hold.
Correct. Yep.
Which one, if you could only pick one, which would you recommend?
Tough question. Tough question. Because the reason why I say it's tough, because I teach my students how to be a deal engineer. And as a deal engineer, you incorporate all three into your business, right? So like last year, I had a huge deal, the wholesale deal that I made like $83,000 off of. But then I have some deals where I keep them and I rent them out. So I think that once again, it depends on your goal and it depends on where you are in life, right? So for me, at the age of 40, I want to hold on to more properties that I'm actually flipping or selling or wholesaling. So for me right now, I would say um, renting is what I like right now, right? If the cash flow is right. However, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when I was looking at hustling and building a cash, building a lot of money so I can put it over here and put it over there, fixing and flipping and wholesaling was what I wanted to do. So, as you evolve, as your goals may, change or as you begin to complete some goals, it may change, So I would say for right now, at the moment I am right now, rental properties is where I am.
Okay. So Justin, so you said you teach this. What kind of things do you teach?
Yeah, so I teach students how to be deal engineers. So once again, that's understanding the strategies of buying, holding, wholesaling, rehabbing, and fix and flips. And then we go over the burst strategy as well too, which is a good strategy where you can use that to cash out, refinance a property, and make sure that you get your initial investment back from the property by using the equity and it appraising at a high enough point to get your money back. So we go over that. I teach them how to find contractors, how to vet contractors, how to establish lines of credit. So it's a number of different things that we do within the mentorship program. But primarily we're looking to teach them how to be deal engineers, and then from there they can begin to build the pieces and have the pieces together that looks at creative financing, seller financing, getting a private lender, construction, things of that nature.
Okay, sounds good, Justin. And so I'm going to key in on that burst strategy.
Right, right.
So I'm interested in that. Could you tell us a little bit about the cash out refi, like how it works, and give an easy example?
Right. So let's say you buy a property for $25,000, right? And you put $50,000 into it, right? So you buy a property 25,000, it needs to be rehab, so you put in 50. Now, because you put in 50, the property is worth $100,000. All right. So when you finish the project, your equity in the deal is now $25,000. Okay. So once you finish the project, you're going to rent the property out and have cash flow. And then you'll go to the bank and say, hey, listen, I used, my capital, my cash or lines of credit, whatever you use to finance the property. Now it's time to go to the bank and say, hey, I want a cash out refi loan. And typically in most states, banks are going to give you a loan 75% of the after repair value, right? So once again, in this example, if you're all in the deal at 75,000 and the bank will give you 75% of the after repair value, then you need the after repair value to be at least $100,000 for you to get all your money back. Now in Philadelphia, I use credit unions, and some credit unions here in Philadelphia will do 80% of the after repair value, right? So in that case, if I spend $60,000 on the rehab, or I'm not 60, but $55,000 on a rehab, I'm in that 80, that I can get all my money back. So the cash out refi, you will refinance at the closing table. They'll give you a check for whatever the percentage is of the ARV. Let's say $75,000. You take that, you deposit it, and then if you have a private money lender or line of credit or a HELOC or whatever it may be, you pay that off, and then now you pay the mortgage every month because you refinance the property.
Okay, Justin. So to make sure I understand this, say if the property is 75,000 and now it's worth 100,000.
Right.
You're getting 75% of this 100,000?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
Okay.
The after repair value is how much it's worth now.
Right. The 100,000. Right.
At the end. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the way you'll know that is a bank will come in and do an appraisal.
Okay.
Yeah. But I would say that you should know that anyway prior to the bank coming in, because you're going to do your comps before you even buy the property. So you know what the property is worth, as is, as well as after repair value before you even buy the property.
Okay. Have you faced a lot of discrimination when it comes to appraisals? Because I've been hearing about people having problems.
I haven't. Is it happening most likely? I would assume so.
Okay.
But I haven't experienced that.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't experienced that.
With the cash out refi, is there a catch with it? Like when they give you the money, is there some kind of catch associated with that? Like, will you end up owing more on the mortgage?
No, I mean, whatever they give you, that's your mortgage, right? Now, mine is closing costs, so maybe your closing cost is $2,000, so they may subtract that from whatever they give you, but no, the mortgage is going to stay the mortgage. You have to understand the terms of the mortgage, right? So, it could be a 20-year loan, it could be a 25-year loan, right? Sometimes banks have a seasoning period where they say you can't refi until after you owned it for 6 months to a year. So just be mindful of, the bank stipulations. Now, sometimes banks will have a prepayment penalty. I don't like that, so I no longer use banks that have a prepayment penalty. I have one mortgage right now on two properties. It's a balloon mortgage. And so that mortgage has a prepayment penalty. So when rates dropped last year due to COVID, I wanted to refinance to get a lower rate, and I couldn't because it was a prepayment penalty on that loan.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You gotta check and see if there's a pre-penalty.
Yeah.
But you said even though you cashed out refi, that mortgage balance stays the same.
Well, no, not the balance, because once you keep paying it off, it goes, it lowers every month as you pay it down.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's with any mortgage,
Okay.
Yeah, but there's no, I'm sorry, go ahead. Say it again.
Trying to see if it was some catch to it.
No. It's pretty simple, pretty standard. I think going in, you need to understand what's the bank's guidelines as far as how much they're willing to cash out refi, whether it's 70%, 75, 80%. So you want to understand that. You want to understand, how many points are the bank charging at closing. So they may charge 1 point, 2 points, you never know. So be mindful of that.
Okay, Justin. Sounds good. So Justin, what is your favorite book or some book recommendations?
Favorite book, definitely the Bible. I think that has spiritual guidance, as well as guidance in your life and things like that. So definitely the Bible. As far as another book, I would say, oh, that's a good question. I would probably say the Alchemist is a good book. Yeah.
I hear about that all the time, but I haven't read it.
Yeah, that's a good book. There's some spiritual undertone to that as well too, but definitely a good book. And what's another book that I like? Alchemist, and I have another one, but I can't think of the name of it right now. So yeah, W.E.B. Du Bois, Souls of Black Folk.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a strong one. That's a strong one. I actually taught that when I actually teach that book when I was in high school. When I was teaching high school, I would dig into that book and teach the students that. Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay. Now you're getting strong, huh?
Yeah, and I was a African American literature minor in college, so I studied education, and then a minor in African American history.
Okay.
Or literature, yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I do read the Bible, but I'm gonna have to check those other two books out.
Yeah.
Okay, so Justin, I'm gonna switch over to the love segment.
Okay. I didn't even know there's a love segment in here, but okay, let's get it in.
So this is a love and money show. Now,
Right.
I already know the answer, but for the audience, are you single or married?
Married.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to relationships, what is one thing you learned about money and relationships that could help other people?
So I'll be married almost 19. I'll be married 19 years this year. So one thing about money and relationships is that it's good to have communication prior to even getting married as to how each person manages money, right? Because one person could be a spender, the other one could be a saver. That doesn't mean that the spender is wrong or the saver is wrong. It's just about how they spend money. So I would say communication is key, and then set goals together. So that way, you have a plan, set a budget, make sure you're on the same page with the budget. And I would say for me, one of the things that I didn't do good at in the marriage as far as money wise. I was really like I wasn't flexible, right? So it is important. So for me, I'm a saver. I like to budget. I don't, whatever I spend, I know where it's going. I know how I'm going to spend it, where I'm going to spend it at. So for me, I'm not flexible in that area. So when I got married, I was expecting the same thing from my spouse. Like, no, we spend a certain amount of money. If we don't have X, Y, and Z, then we don't do this. We don't put it on credit card. We don't do X, Y, and Z. But as a unit, as you're married, you have to be flexible and have to be willing to hear the other person's perspective and come to an agreement about how things operate in the household as a unit. So I would say definitely communication, be on one accord, and the same page. Yeah.
Okay. So communication, set goals, set a budget,
Yeah.
be flexible.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, I interviewed another guest, and he told me that women spend more money than men. And I'm like, hold up, wait a minute.
So I don't want to stereotype women. I know firsthand I've experienced that, but it doesn't mean that that's always the case, right? I know women that are accountants, and they don't spend money. They understand the budget. So yeah, it depends on the person. I would never say that women spend more money than men. So yeah, it might seem that way, but that's not reality. It's a stereotype.
Okay.
When women have more shoes than men, that's a fact. That's not a stereotype.
Yeah, I gotta get me some shoes. I gotta get me some more shoes.
Yeah, women have more shoes than men.
Get me some clothes and take me a nice vacation.
Yeah, that's good. Vacations are good. Vacations are good. Vacations are good. Absolutely.
Joseph, I'm on a journey to wealth. So
yeah. Absolutely. We all are, because wealth can be undefined, right? Wealth for you can mean 2 properties, 10 properties. Wealth for somebody else could mean 100 properties, right? So yeah.
Okay. So Justin, so the last questions I have is, did you have any last words to leave for the audience?
So I would say that you want to master your craft, right? So don't fall into the shiny object syndrome, right? Where it's like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, and this looks good over here, and X, Y, and Z, right? I would say master your craft. So for me, I'm looking at what I want to do. So if I'm doing real estate, I'm gonna focus on that. I'm gonna focus on honing in onto my craft. And so for me in real estate, I'm very good at finding off-market deals, right? So that's like my niche, finding these off-market deals and buying them at a discounted price. So once I do that, I then have a GC that does the rehabs, excuse me, that does the rehabs for me. So you're never going to see me in a property swinging a hammer, putting up drywall, nothing like that, because that's not my best skill set, right? I'm not a master at that. But if you say, hey, Justin, I need to find 10 deals in 3 months, then I can guarantee you that I can do 10 deals in 3 months, because I know how to find off-market deals. So master your craft.
Okay. Master the craft. And Justin, where can people find you if they want to reach out to you to learn more about real estate or to get into your mentoring program?
So yeah, so you can go to Justin is my coach on Instagram. Facebook is the same thing. Justin is my coach. And then feel free to sign up for my free masterclass. You can go to masterthesteps.com. So it's masterthesteps.com. And we typically have free masterclasses on a weekly basis, if not sometimes bi-weekly. So once again, masterthesteps.com. That's my website. Or you can go to Justin is my coach on Instagram and as well as Facebook.
Okay, sounds good, Justin. Thank you for being on the show and sharing your story.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.